morning, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from all over the world. You're welcome to the September edition of the WIMBIZ e-Roundtable webinar. Okay, so we're going to start by 3 o'clock, but I'll just like us to have some time to introduce ourselves in the chat room. So just tell us your name, tell us where you're joining us from. And if you want to, you can also tell us what you do so that we can get to meet one another. Okay, so you're all welcome once again. This is the WIMBIZ e-Roundtable webinar for September. Okay. I can see you're welcome, Modupe. You're welcome. Good day. Welcome, Hilda. You're welcome, Uzoebo. I hope I got that right. You're welcome, Bimbola, right? Welcome, 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 everyone. Okay, so officially, I would like to welcome you once again to the WIMBIZ September e-Roundtable. My name is Olubumi Fajigbe, and I am the Executive Director of She Learns Here Initiative for Skills Empowerment, and I'm right here in the city of Ibadan. It's a very cool day today, and it promises to be a very, very interesting one today. If you have gone through our list of panelists and moderator, you would actually agree with me. So at this point, I would like to introduce to you the organization that is bringing this webinar to us today. So if this is your first time of attending a WIMBIZ program, I would like to introduce WIMBIZ to you. WIMBIZ is Women in Business Management and Public Service and Public, sorry, pardon me. WIMBIZ, I'll take that again. WIMBIZ is Women in Management, Women in Business Management and Public Service. Pardon me. So this is 20 years of WIMBIZ. I'm actually a WIMBIZ associate. This year marks 20 years of WIMBIZ being in existence. WIMBIZ is a non-governmental organization, and we have impacted over 216,000 women in the past 20 years. And the key pillars of WIMBIZ are to advocate, to empower, to inspire, and to connect. And if you are not yet an associate of WIMBIZ and you're a woman on this call, I would like to invite you to join us, and you'll be hearing more about that as we go on. So I would like to say a very big thank you to the sponsors of this month's e-Roundtable, First Bank Nigeria. We thank you for supporting the Roundtable webinar for September. Okay, so I see that the chat room is buzzing. Is buzzing. Good day, everyone. I will now go ahead to introduce our moderator for today. Actually, he's someone that needs no introduction. If you have seen the flyer, I'm sure you're like, what do you want to tell us? But I will go ahead and just say something brief about him. And so his name is Mr. Atunyota Akobome. Okay, I hope I tried with that. And he began his professional career performing at corporate events, appearing on television shows with Patrick Doyle, Charlie Boy, and other veterans, and making cameo appearances on radio shows with veterans as well. In 1993, he registered his company, Ali Baba incorporated to enhance the perception of comedians as a profession and a respected way of life, okay? So he maintains the philosophy that his business is big enough for all who want to make comedy their chosen profession. As such, he supports, mentors, and presents several comedians, helping to ensure that standards are maintained and professionalism encouraged. Ali Baba has been a professional stand-up comedian for the past 30 years and has received several awards. Ali Baba was inducted into the Johnny Walker Striding Man Society in 2009, which recognizes men who have achieved great strides in their chosen fields and who motivate and encourage others. He rang the year-end closing bell of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the first Nigerian comedian to do so, and was also featured on CNN African Voices, speaking about his goal to professionalize and gain acceptance for Nigerian comedians. He is a special marshal of the Federal Road Safety of Nigeria. Ladies and perhaps gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our moderator for the September 2021 WIMBIZ e-Roundtable webinar, Mr. Ali Baba. Please clap in the chat box, everyone. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be in your midst. I'm here representing my wife, my daughters, and my mom. And so I'm in the midst of, and my sisters as well. All right, so we all know what we're talking about today. It would be nice to just set some ground rules, and please always make sure that you are audible. And would actually like to have everyone's video up. And if the video is not up, let's have a picture of you that we can relate with. That said, how do we survive in uncertain times? That is what we're talking about today. And we have with us some delectable speakers. Tony Bakary, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr.
Okay, then welcome. I needed. I'm just using that to check your microphone. Okay, how are you? How are you doing, please?
Okay.
She didn't hear me. She's muted. Hello. Okay, so how are you doing?
Is that me?
Yes, yes, you. Yes,
I'm so sorry. I thought you were still talking to Chosen. I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, all right. And the lady that introduced us, Olubumi, you're welcome, everyone. I'm going to be calling on them to come speak one after the other. But let me just set the ground rules, or set the tone rather. One of the stories that has hit me hardest in business development, in success, in every business that we do is the story of the mother of Moses. And the mother of Moses happened to be the one that was mentioned in the success of Moses. The father was nowhere to be found, but she decided to do something. And she was handling the situation as much as she could. And from what we were told, she did not only work with information, she worked with location, she worked with strategy, and then she even employed people to help her make sure that whatever strategy she had turned out right, because she had Miriam there just in case the basket was floating out of the presence of the person that she was targeting to bring it back to position. And so why I'm bringing this now is that we all have different situations and we respond to different situations. But the thing is that as women, I believe that our mothers, our sisters, and our wives need to be positioned and strengthened with all the tools that are needed to survive any situation at all. Another situation that we can drag out of the Bible. Sorry, I'm a Christian, and so most of the backgrounds I'm going to lay are from such backgrounds as well, from the Bible. And another one is when Ruth had lost her husband. She was faced with a situation which is not a COVID situation, but it's something like that. And it means, what do you then do when it happens? When the egg breaks, do you cry over it? Do you sweep it and just trash and say, next time I'll learn that this egg will not break? Or just decide that you just buy fried eggs instead of go through the process of frying the eggs yourself? So that is what we're here for. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will be going to let me take Toyin Bakari first. And Toyin, please take us through this. And then when we come back, I'll be coming to Vuca.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much to the panelists. And thank you so much, Mr. Ali Babaruke, to WIMBIZ. It's such an honor to be here this beautiful afternoon. I've been an associate for WIMBIZ for almost 15 years as well. And it's an organization that has really impacted us as well. So this afternoon, we're talking about how do we stay the course in uncertain times. And of course, we know that there have been a lot of uncertain times. There's been a lot of pandemic. We've all been through a lot, How do we stay focused? How do we remain calm? How do we build sustainable businesses in the midst of the pandemic and the chaos, And so as I was presenting, as I was trying to prepare, I said, stay the course. What does it mean to stay the course? It means to pursue your goal. Like Nigerians will say, we will stay here, we die here. No matter the obstacle, we'll continue the process. We'll run with our vision. So even though it's difficult, we'll succeed in the end. And it's that spirit that says we don't give up, So I'm going to talk about Sas Textiles. So I'm an executive director with Sas Textiles, and Sas Textiles is a transgenerational story, it's a transgenerational business. And every time I talk about Sas, so our business is over 40 years now. Our business is over 40 years. It's over 40 years, and it was started by my late mom, and so it started in the late 70s. And so it's a family business. And when I talk about SAS, I said the first generation of SAS is a story of hope in adversity. But, as times have progressed now, I now say SAS is a story of creativity, innovation, and resilience, So it started from a one-room, in our family house growing up. And, we were that generation that worked with our mom, and, today, from that one-room store called Yara Itaja. So Yara Itaja is where we started from. It has evolved to a chain of 5 stores, and we're still growing, So how do we stay the course? How do we, I'm just going to be very, very real. How do we stay the course? How do we choose to be resilient? How do we choose not to give up? It's very, very easy, to give up in Nigeria. But one thing we have as a business, we've decided to, no matter what, we don't give up. How do we stay strong in the midst of the crisis? How do we remain strong? How do we remain resolute? And so when I say that it's a story of hope in adversity, so I tell people that I'm that young girl that at the age of 13, I was already following my mother, helping her to stay in her store. I was already, by the age of 16, I was following her to the bank, In fact, I wasn't even following her. I was taking money to the bank. And by the age of 18, my mom had passed on. And we had to take over. So we became second generation. I was still in university. I was still, combining school and business, but we were determined not to give up, and because this is a business that had already built an impact. You know, she was already meeting the needs of a lot of people. She was selling textiles. It started from that one room, and that one room store called the Right. We did a lot of things, you know. We began to expand. But how did we begin to expand? I always tell businesses that you must learn to grow organically. You must learn to, you know, don't just take it at a rush. You know, we had to go through a lot of personal development. You know, talking about the challenges we went through, you know, it's not easy being a young girl. So I was only 18, and, you know, I worked with my sister, you know, who I call my MD, you know, we were quite young, you know, and so we opened our first store in 1995, you know, and we continued doing the business. You know, we were determined, you know, because we knew that everybody had to survive, you know, we knew that we had to build a brand. We knew that we had to add value. So business is all about adding value. Business is beyond, it's what's your unique selling point. You know, it's about that sincerity of intention. So we're talking about staying the course. You know, how do we stay the course? You must know your stakeholders. So the first one I will talk about is, let's talk about the COVID experience, you know, and of course, COVID came. And we all had to pivot. We all had to understand what the new normal was. We all had to know that we had to have a positive outcome in life. You know, we knew that we couldn't give up. We had to know our stakeholders. And what are our stakeholders? Our stakeholders were our customers, our staff. I always say our staff are your internal customers. They are the most important to your stakeholders. And you know, when I talk about our staff, I hold our staff in very, very high esteem. Our oldest staff has been with us now for about 35 years now. We've had staff that worked with us for 2015. You know, they've stayed with us, you know. So during COVID, we made sure we identified with them. We made sure, you know, we connected with them. We made sure that we were engaging them. It's about continuous engagement. It was about all the Zoom meetings. It was about meeting the needs of people. And, you know, I remember during the COVID period, we were asked to, you know, there was a coffee, and we're all staying indoors. There was a lockdown, and, you know, people were losing loved ones. All of a sudden, our business became essential services. We became essential services because people needed to bury their loved ones. They needed to wear, buy fabrics that they will wear for them. So our business is all about empathy, how you connect to your people, you know, how you connect to them, you know, how you can empathize with them, how that's spirit of resilience, you know, and then it's your customers, your suppliers. So it was like a chain that we're all connecting to on the same page. So it was a continuous engagement. And one thing we knew, that there's always a solution. There's always a solution. You know, how did we gather that mental muscle? You know, our relationship. And, you know, one thing I tell people about SS is that, you know, it's a family business. We're 7 siblings that we all work together. But did we all start working together from that first day? No. As we all finished education, you know, everybody joined that business. We built a strong trust, you know. So staying that course is that we chose to be resilient, you know, and as if COVID was not enough, NSAS now came, you know, and when NSAS came, you know, we had just started building the business back. You know, our customers were just coming back. You know, the lockdown was being released gradually. And, you know, we had a lot of interesting experiences during the COVID situation, just before the NSAS, you know, and just before that, just in the COVID experience, you know, make sure we had to improve our footfall online. You know, we went online, we went digital. I mean, we had customers that were saying, there was a customer that called me from the north, and she said she wanted just as she would wear during the lockdown. You know, we had to be there. We had to make sure that we were totally aligned, you know, we're totally supportive of everything. It took a lot of growth, it took a lot of development, you know, and when people talk about crisis is a part of life, you know, it's like that risk in business. Oh, there's always a risk in business, you know. Crises are those things that, you know, the NSAS came upon us suddenly, and we're that store that we became, first of all, it was our Lekki store that was vandalized. And just as we're about to say, okay, we've sorted out Lekki store, then the Surulere store also at ShopRite, they broke into the stores. And it was a lot of emotional torture. But, you know, one thing we told ourselves was that we're going to choose to count our blessings. not count our losses. We chose to have a positive mindset. You know, we chose to build on our values. And what were those values that, you know, the business has been built on those values of excellent customer service, built on the values of passion. For you to be in business, you must be passionate about what you do. You know, those, you know, we were passionate, we knew why we were doing business. So our values of hard work, you know, and so we saw everything just going down, you know. But immediately after everything turned, there was still a coffee, right, going on. We said we gathered everybody together. So it's very important you understand your community. Networking, it's so important. What attitude did we have? I chose to have a positive attitude because, you know, when I tell the story of the NSAS, it's not easy for you to see everything you've worked for just go down the drain just like that, you know. But we chose to be resilient. We chose to move forward. We chose to do like a risk analysis, you know. We chose to be positive, you know, and a lot of values came out of that. A lot of values, you know, we chose to go the extra extra mile. And so one thing I remember, the day this thing NSAS happened, you know, a customer called me and she said, oh, I wanted fabrics for a wedding. I said, did you hear what happened? And she said, she heard. But so the following day after the NSAS, I had to open a store in my house. So we opened another Yara Itaja because we sent out a message on social media and we told our customers that, okay, these are the channels we have now. So we took a decision, you know, we had to come up with that, make sure we increased our presence online. You know, for me, business is all about service. SS is about creating beautiful memories. You know, how do we maintain clarity? How do we remain focused? How do we remain purposeful in uncertain times? You know, customer service for us was so important. You know, we had to go into partnerships, we had to go into collaborations, you know, and I remember we began the process of rebuilding. And for me, I mean, for us, it was a new beginning. So we had 2 stores that were vandalized, you know, and in the space of 6 weeks, we rebuilt back. But did we ever stop? We didn't ever stop. There's something I also wanted to bring out. You know, I didn't encourage the pity party. I made sure, you know, people gave us. Your community is so important. Our customers stood up for us, our stakeholders, our suppliers. Family is everything. So it's so important that, you know, we understand all these values, you know, because your values, they define who you are. They define who you are. They define who you are. And you know, so the C21 we're rebuilding, I was selling in the house. So we're moving forward. We're not stopping. All our bank, all our orders from our corporate institutions, our partners, you know, once people call you, where are you? All the wedding orders that we did, we made sure we continued in the house. And from our branch in Ikoyi was still functional at that time. So we're diverting customers to Ikoyi. It was such a lot of energy that we saw displayed. Our staff were coming to us every day. My staff were resuming in the house. My house became something else. So, you know, when we talk about crisis, we don't give up, you know, your values, your mindsets, your goals are so important. And that was why, because we knew that part of our goals was how we turn that one-time buyer into a lifelong customer. You keep your eye on the goal. You know, it's easy for you to say, oh, you're not doing it again, you know. It's easy for you to say, oh, no. But one thing I also did again, immediately after the NSAS, you know, the following day, I gathered all our shop owners. So ShopRite has about over 120 stores, this ShopRite in Sulere. And we didn't have a community. We didn't even have anyone, you know, just the management. But we gathered ourselves together. We created a WhatsApp group. We encouraged one another. I said, no, we're not going to give up. We're not going to build our businesses back. We started to engage the government. NSCTF was engaging us as well. You know, we started to do community work as well. We decided to find out where the loopholes were so that this thing that has happened, it must not happen again. It's about purpose. It's about understanding your grade. It's about having clarity of purpose, you know, your belief system. It's so important. It's about having an open mindset. An open mindset. We had that growth mindset. I believe a lot in personal development. You know, we started from a one-room store, and you know, it took us about 10 years before we opened our second store. And today, you know, we're going into franchises now. You know, so how did we learn from this? You know, we learned to be open. We learned to be resilient. You know, recently, about 2 years ago, there was somebody that had come into our store. He's a student in one of the universities in UK, and he had come to do a case study on family businesses, you know, and he came to meet us, you know, and he from the University of Loughborough, and you know, and he did a case study on us from Indonesia, different countries, you know, and by the time he got back to his school, he said, oh, the faculty was so pleased with our story, because remember that we are a community, we are a family business about 7, we have had staff that worked with us for so many years, and our story stood out. So recently I spoke to the PhD students, you know, teaching them about family business, teaching them about CSR, our corporate social responsibility, teaching them about sustainability in business, you know. And because one thing we do as a business as well is we don't just, it's not just about building a brand. It's not just about selling. It's about, you know, the way we empathize. You know, I remember during the COVID season, we had to create something we call the Celebration of Life account. You know, so when people lose their loved ones, that emotional intelligence, the way we connect to them, because it's like we're offering them a service, you know, making that move every day, sorting them out, because people are already, they're going through pain. So we have to understand the purpose of your business. You don't give up on your dream. Your attitude determines your altitude. You know, the storms will always come, but we've chosen not to be to give up. We must learn to be adaptable. You know, we started to do packaging. We started to, you know, do collaborations, meet up with different organizations. We introduced the Inaugural concept. You know, we started to reinvent. I remember during the COVID period, we were tired of cooking. We're tired of staying in the house. And my teacher then, I had to call her. You know, she started sending us soups in packages. It was the best thing. We could order for small shops, you know, reinvent, rebrand, you know, research the trend, you know, have your data, have your information, diversify. And of course, your savings are so important because cash is so key. One thing as a business, one part of our values that we chose to be prudent. I always tell people that in business, you must learn to work in your business and not just working in your business. You're not just working, but you must learn to work. You must learn to see what's the next thing, you know. Look at the partnerships you can come into. Look at, you know, how you can improve on your customer service. Look at how you can empathize with people. You know, how you can be able to source your finance. It's so important. That personal touch. I'm very passionate about what I do. I love my customers. And you have to understand the why of why you're in business. You must be able to adapt. You must be able to create solutions. You know, you must be able to create solutions. It's not just about, understand the culture of your business. It's so important. It's so important. So, you know, for us as a business, we've chosen to be resilient. We've chosen to stay the course. And, you know, and so after the EndSARS, you know, we opened our stores back in December 4th, you know, which was my mom's remembrance. And one thing we did was that we opened with people. When people came, they were like, did anything happen here? Because it was as if nothing happened. It was as if God had told us that it was a new beginning. So we came out better, stronger, with much zeal, understanding our purpose. We got into new collaborations. You know, I even did this new velvet bags for sustainability of the environment. You know? So we try to be adaptable. You know, I tell people upgrade. We have to upgrade our social media skills. It's about getting it done. You know, thank you. So, and one word I always say is get it done. Leadership is all about execution. So important.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Toyi. Thank you so much, Toyi. Thank you. Okay, now I needed to have that spring from the foundation that I had laid. Where is Olubumi? Olubumi was supposed to have our poll results.
Sorry, come again, sir.
Was supposed to have the poll results.
I didn't hear that. A poll. Okay, HQ. Can you help with the poll?
Is HQ ready? HQ ready? So that I'll just use that to break Toyi before I go to Rekia.
Okay, it's up now. Okay, please fill the poll. We have a minute to do this, and then we'll see the results of the poll.
Let's do that quickly. We have about 245 people on this, and so wish I had a prize for the first person to finish this. Once you're done, you submit. We can move on. Thank you so much, Toyi. Thank you so much. I just gleaned a few other things that I will add to my portfolio. Resilience and determination, personal development, and age did not matter. Age did not matter. Build a brand, add value, know your stakeholders, know your customers, and adapt, because if you're stagnant, your business will not grow. Engage your customers. There's always a solution out there. Find it. Always a solution. Teamwork is also very important. Trust matters a lot in these businesses. And to survive, you have to be dynamic, which is adaptation. Have a positive mindset, because I'm just doing this now because we're taking the time to do the polls. And so while that is happening, and then begin to do networking. Networking, you cannot live on an island. That's why she started gathering her people together, and they formed a WhatsApp group. It helps to glean from everybody's experiences, just as we're doing here now. And then stop the pity party. It is because it is me. It is because I'm from the South. It's because I'm not a Northerner. It is because I'm pity party. And then support structures are very important too. Then please, most people that set up businesses expect to become Dangote after 1 week. You have to grow organically. You have to grow organically. All right. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much. And I like that the re-echoing of that. Your attitude determines your altitude. Thank you so much. And then you have to reinvent, rebrand, and reposition your business. Always try to do that. CSR is also very good. Empathy. Are we done now with the polls? Okay, HQ, we're done with the polls. Okay, and for how well has your business or organization adjusted to the new normal? 4% said not well. 45% said very well. 51% said work in progress. And 1% said they're waiting for things to return to normal. Okay. All right, so question 2 was, what major challenges have you had to deal with in the last 18 months? HQ, if you can scroll that up, it will help. %30% has said health and well-being.
I think that's all, sir.
Okay, 30% said health and well-being. Then business and career related, 49%. 6% said loss of loved ones, and 15% said others. And others, I'm sure, can be cash related, but let's just say others. It helps. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And these are the things that most of the things we're going to discuss here today would address. Thank you, HQ. Thank you so much. Now, that said, Madam Erufa, are you ready for us?
Yes, I'm ready.
You are. Okay. All right. So these are from the polls. In our schedule, I was supposed to take the polls before the whole thing started, but I needed people to please understand where we're coming from and where we're going. They will then take that in between and then use that to bridge to you. Now, these are the issues people are dealing with. They are in circumstances that they had not planned for. The ones that before now, the people that could even have just given them money to run their businesses are no more there. And the people who are even who had the money to give to you are looking for monies to even survive. And so in this death straits, what do we do? How do we cope? What should we be doing? It's over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you. So let me just start by laying a few context to generally what was happening even before the pandemic. So at PwC, we've identified 5 challenges that we think, these are urgent challenges facing the world, and they would have big implications to governments, businesses, and society at large. And, funny enough, we call it the ADAPT framework, and the first being asymmetry. So when you look at the world now, you'll see there's increasing wealth disparity and there's erosion of middle class. So that is not good. There'll be more uprising, and we're seeing a lot of that in Nigeria, and it's not good for businesses because it means disposable income to even spend on businesses, go away. Then there is disruption. So the A, adapt, the A is for asymmetry, the D is for disruption. So, there is technology, technology is disrupting us, and the impact on its society, on individuals, society, and the climate. So, apart from technology, there's climate change. People, and I lead sustainability and climate change at PwC. Everyone, is aware of the disruption technology is going to bring, but I see not everyone understands how climate change, and sustainability is going to disrupt the world going forward. Then there is age, because, there's demographic pressure on businesses. So be it the developed countries experiencing aging population, people living younger, having less children. We in Africa, it's a big opportunity because we have a vibrant, young population. But on the flip side, if nothing is done with that population, then it doesn't become a blessing for us. There would be just more social disruptions that we would see. We're already seeing a lot of that because we have high unemployment, and there are many jobless youths, and we can see, the implication of that. Then there's polarization in the world, right? There's breakdown of global consensus, and there's growing nationalism and populism. And we're seeing that even in Nigeria with a lot of separatist movement. It's all over the world, where we're seeing people in developed countries not wanting the migration. We saw Brexit, we saw a lot, we're seeing a lot of that. Then the T in that adapt is trust. So trust is broken, and that underpins society. Toyin spoke a lot about NSAS, and all that. We're seeing a lot of social movement. There's just a total breakdown of trust. So COVID now happened amidst all this, challenges, and of course, the implication of on businesses, on jobs, on livelihoods. It just required a whole change of lifestyle. As a sustainability professional, we like to look at things from the triple bottom line: impact on people, planet, and prosperity. And when you break that down, economic, environment, social, and governance. So economically, supply chains were broken. They need to activate business continuity management plans, of which remote working is part of. And you can imagine for MSMEs that haven't really invested in digital infrastructure. For many, it was a moment of truth, because even people that had those business continuity management plans might not have even been testing them. supply chains, and on social side, health and safety, mental health, the loss of jobs, having to deal with all that, losing loved ones. Many people also went through COVID, and all. So what that has done is it's created this uncertainty. But beyond even uncertainty, we call it the Vuca environment, right? So right now, businesses are having to operate in a volatile environment, so uncertain environment, complex environment, and ambiguous environment. So it's not just the uncertainty. So amidst all that, how then, do you respond to all these? I had some quotes that I even forgot to mention. Peter Drucker, that is a well-known strategist, he said every single social and global issue of our day is a business opportunity in disguise. And then there is another one I have, by Steve Jobs. Innovation is the only way to win. And it's about survival, when you're in a crisis. And they said survival is the ability to swim in strange waters. So, what that means is, as Dwayne mentioned, you have to be purposeful. You have to be a business driven by purpose. When you look at businesses that have lived for over 100 years, they were built to solve a social problem. When you look at Dangote, what's his purpose? Meeting basic needs. So that's a resilient proof business, because he is supplying what you need no matter what. You need food, you need shelter. He is even now going to extending to solving the energy needs, because we do have a problem with that. So he's a problem. He positions his business to be a problem solver with what's happening in his operating terrain. And purpose transcends the idea of a founder. It transcends beyond business strategy. And creating a sustainable business is about creating that resilience proof, and future-proofing your business. And many people don't understand sustainability. And sustainability is about creating long-term value, is about longevity that is shared among diverse stakeholders. So you're not only thinking of you and your shareholders, but you're thinking of all your stakeholders and how you create shared value. And that's why you see what World Economic Forum has moved from that notion of capitalism to stakeholder capitalism, right? And that's what you're looking at. So then, of course, there's that move into digital and social commerce. Tosin touched a lot around how they collaborated, leveraging those social network systems and all that. Then, with all this that is happening, the future of work, the future of skills, every single person needs to think. If you're in management position or you own a business, you have to think of the skills needed, for the future, for that industry and for your workforce, and you have to upskill. You have to upskill to survive. Then, there is reinventing your strategy. You have to keep challenging innovation. You have to keep challenging and reinventing, and you have to do scenario-based planning. Because don't forget that Vuca environment I mentioned. It's an uncertain future. It's a volatile environment. It's complex, especially with ease of doing business in Nigeria and what you're having to face. So you have to do your scenarios-based planning. You have to invest in data. Many businesses, they don't really, capture the data, have, robust governance systems that you need to look for that data to guide you. You have to leverage on tech. We already spoke a bit around that. Then you have to have foresight. You know, no matter how small your business is, you need enterprise risk management systems. And, you know, risk is not negative only. It's not just about threats. It can also be positive opportunity. How do you scan? How do you scan your environment? How well do you understand, you know, what your industry what would affect your industry, what your industry will look like, you know? And then partnerships, which Tosin mentioned a lot. You need partnerships, you know, your workforce, you need to have a strategy for them. I already touched around skills, but you have to have employee assisted programs for coping with mental health, for well-being, you know, and all that. Even the packages, do you have insurance for, and what kind of security? Then you have to, your supply chain, you have to look at the risks around your supply chain. Localize a lot of it as much as possible. Then relationships. I know part of your question is how do you cope? You have a financier, you know, probably a family member or all that, but you know, you have to scan and see what's available, what options are available. Now there is a lot around, there are a lot of impact investors. There are a lot of impact investors, venture capitalists, angel. You just need to be able to have a very good articulation of your business plan, you know, and you know, be able to have bankable ideas, you know, that are well articulated in those plans. So let me touch a bit on mental health and how to cope with that. Because when COVID happened, I know in our organization, every week there are newsletters and talks. They bring in a psychologist because you have people coping, you know, trying to deal with loss of loved ones and all sorts. First is self-love. You know, you can't love others if you do not have self-love. And self-love is about taking care of yourself. It's not about being selfish. You know, how do you have a routine you do every day? Do you know, it's about creating a routine from your exercising. What are those non-negotiables that you need? You know, rest and sleep, routine that you have with your exercise, spending time with your family and all that. Rest and sleep, eating well, doing your favorite things. You need that to be able to cope. The second is, you know, conflict management helps because all these are things that cause stress. How do you engage? How do you discuss and iron things out, dissolve them? Bottling them causes a lot of stress. The second is you have to have a lot of self-esteem, you know, and grit and believe in yourself. You have to have a dream. You have to have that purpose. You have to have your own personal strategy, and you have to have high self-esteem. Because, you know, entrepreneurs that end up making it, you know, they often have crazy ideas that when they say it's, people will say you're crazy, people won't believe in you and all that. You know, they say if nobody calls your idea crazy, you're even probably not thinking big enough. Imagine the person that started Uber to say, I'm going to have a taxi company and I won't own a single car. Then people will say he's crazy, you know, so many other things. So you have to have high self-esteem. You need to detox stressful triggers. You can't eliminate everything, but as much as possible, you need to have self-awareness, you know, this thing. And interestingly, I watched a TEDx where the person was talking about countering, improving mental health through physical movements. You know, stress is the beginning of mental health breakdown. That's why you need to have that, listen to your body. I recently had a breakdown. I was even admitted in hospital because I wasn't listening to my body. I knew I was having headache, I was weak at this, but I didn't respond to what I was feeling in my body because I rarely fall ill. I normally just, take it through the weekend, try to rest, but I ended up breaking down. So it's really important. And we think a lot, apparently. We have like 50,000 thoughts a day, and out of it, only 10% are positive. So you need to, I call it angel voice and devil voice. So in your head, you self-talk a lot. So once you start having those negative voices, which is what I call, make sure you start countering it with listen. So you need to, there's a lot of self-regulation, self-discipline when maintaining, your this thing, because stress is an endemic recognized by WHO. Then physical movement, exercise, it introduces the positive chemicals to your body that introduces the new neurons. It boosts your mood, your self-esteem. It reduces the biological reaction to stress, and the buildup of stress in your nervous system, keeps your mind invigorated. And some of the exercises, yoga, aerobics, you need to find what works for you and really make sure you put it as part of that, your self-love. You have this thing. So apparently when you start feeling stressed, just move. I don't know if you using, these Apple Watch, if it'll tell you move, breathe, and all that. Apparently, if you start feeling stressed and you don't move, you don't breathe, you start introducing cortisons and adrenaline, which is poisonous to your body. And that's what ends up breaking down your immune system, right? And you just need to listen and don't take things personal. I watched another one on how to not take things personal. People, you can't control people's reaction, how people behave, but you need to fight that your ego when it's bruised from the way people listen, and just make excuses for them and all that, and those are the tips I have, especially around mental health. But with me, I found my own sport is yoga and tennis, but I haven't been having time to do it. So me too now, my takeaway from this, my illness, is self-love, because truly, if you break down, you wouldn't even be able to love others. So thank you. I don't know if I answered your question. If there's anything that I haven't answered, please let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rukia. Thank you so much. Thank you. And if the questions are going to come into this, I think HQ will help us put them together. I'm also into tennis. I like tennis a lot. I like tennis when Serena is playing. So the other thing that I need to mention here is that you have talked about a lot of things. You've talked about the unemployment rate of the youth. It's alarming, and one of the problems of that is that one of the causes of that is that people are not empowered with education, vocational education, and so they're not even capable of meeting the challenges they meet in life because they've not been prepared. Some can't read or write, and so anybody that can't read or write in the new generation and the new system would not find a place, and they don't have anything to fall back on vocational. Then the disappearing middle class. The disappeared middle class. I don't think we have middle class now. You either have it or you don't. That's it. It's not like I'm in between. All right. Thank you so much. There's several disruptions that are out there beyond COVID. The disruptions are there, and the coping mechanisms. A lot of the tips that you have given would help to help us understand that. Breakdown of global consensus. That's one thing. When Trump came, it became very clear. Trump has said, "I'm not assisting any country again whatever hole the country is, I'm not assisting. And that became a trend for a lot of other countries. And Brexit also then affected a lot of people as well, businesses. The high unemployment in Nigeria, uncertain business climates. A lot of people are not prepared for this business climate that had come. I know a lady who said she couldn't earn anything because she didn't know how to use a computer. And so when her office said work from home and she didn't have her assistant with her, it became a big problem. We need to wake up to trends. It is just recently that some people even opened Instagram and Facebook accounts. There's a professional that I know that I told about LinkedIn, and she was like, okay, when did this start? And this was just last year, and she didn't know that LinkedIn had been there to connect professionals. Thank you so much. You did mention that we need to upscale to survive. When you upscale to survive, your opportunities are larger. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We need to keep challenging our potentials. There's so many things that you mentioned, so I want to thank you again. So if we have questions, HQ, can we put them together, or do we begin to take them from the chat room? Tony, you ready for the questions?
Yes, thank you.
Or you want to round up again? Is there any other thing that you forgot you want to quickly add?
Okay, staying the course. Thank you so much, Rekia. You know, that part about self-love, obeying your body. I wrote it down. Learn to listen to your body. I also wrote down, don't be a superwoman. We feel we can do everything. And I told people that it's not about work-life balance anymore. It's about work-life harmony, integration, understanding the God factor. You know, when we talk about all these pandemics, everything, the disruptions, you know, resilience. What is resilience? The people will say, oh, you know, resilience is all about how we adapt well in the face of trauma, adversity, stress, you know, in the workplace. You know, I tell people that it's from the age of 18, I learned to be resilient, you know, after the death of my mom, you know, and we ignore the naysayers. We listen, after NSAS, so my motto was, it will all end in praise. I didn't listen to any pity party. So, you know, it's in the time of crisis that it's the best time of your advancement, because out of crisis comes forth opportunities as well. You know, then we listen to all sorts of Zoom meetings that we became zoomed out. You know, even for me, my motto then was, you know, please don't look back. Let's all move forward. Every time there's a crisis, God wants to move us forward. Remain positive. Be adaptable to change. We all have to adapt. We all have to know. I mean, now most times there's WhatsApp, so many digital technology, so many skills going out there. We all had to go through personal development. We all had to understand our goals, you know, and I always thought that you must look forward to what is ahead. So why did we could have chosen to say, oh, I'm not going to continue this business. How could they have vandalized my 2 stores? I'm going to give up. But no, we knew that there's a purpose. I once read the book once, and that book says how to turn that one-time buyer into a lifelong customer. So we talk about businesses. We have a goal that our business is 2nd generation, going 3rd generation now. We want to see it reach the 100th generation. We want to see it go, you know, so that purpose, knowing that we meet needs, there are people looking up to us, you know, so that how do you develop a resilient attitude? It's about building relationship. Research shows that strong, supportive relationships can be a powerful driving force behind relationships, and I can relate to that. I remember after the NSAS, you know, 2 days after it, somebody called me and said, please, can we have your account details? And I didn't really understand it. I said, okay, because in a way they said all the loss, and I said, okay, and I sent it. And, you know, the first money that was given to us, I sowed it as a seed back to God. And do you know, from that following week, we began to get so many alerts. People were giving us money. Customers will go and buy, and they will say, oh, for what you people went through, they will give us money. We'll go and buy furniture. The furniture company will say, don't pay. We were overwhelmed with love, because our organization is an organization that is embedded in love. For me, I take it as a personal touch, So we must need to understand that relationships are so important, Then accept change, The only constant thing in life is change, Recognize your strength. For me, like I said earlier, no pity party because it will all end in praise. And it's time for action. We started to build immediately, After the fire, we had the fire before the NSAS, before the COVID, we had to open a pop-up store, the one I said in my hand. And I said, change the way you look at things. When you change the way you look at things will begin to change, I thought we started a foundation to make people happy. So even in the midst of our pain, we're helping people that had lost, or we're even giving to our own neighbors, because some people didn't even have any opportunity for people to bless them. You turn the negative into the positive. Be grateful for your experience. So remember I told you, we opened the WhatsApp group. We started a fellowship in the mall. We had so much community. We engaged with the government, I became a restoration coach. I was just encouraging people. Keep a gratitude journal. Don't take, like Ricky herself, don't take yourself too seriously. It's so important. Laughter is a good medicine. So, I didn't want people telling me sorry. My staff all knew it. Once they come and say, yeah, oh, sorry. Then remember that slogan that they say in Yoruba that Ile Oba Tojo Ewa Lobusi. That means that the palace of the king that got bonds, it became even more beautiful. So, we came after all the pandemic. We came out stronger. We now have achieved the positive branding that we had always wanted to achieve. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now that said, there's one part that I would have loved Rekia to please just throw a bit more light on, and it is on leveraging technology. Like I just mentioned now, that there are some people who still can't send an email, and I'm not joking. There are some people who still can't send an email. There is a lady who received an email that was sent by her school that she wants to go for master's, and it went to spam. And she said she had not received the letter, she's not received the letter, and the time for admission expired until somebody then said, but they said they sent you the letter and then went and checked spam. And she said, how was I supposed to know? It wasn't in inbox. So please just speak to that.
Yes. So you see, there technology, most times, it requires change management, because people that are not tech savvy, they sometimes feel intimidated or they think it's complex till they're encouraged and trained and shown how to, right? But, there's some that also requires personal, interest to develop, to be honest, because something like an email, and all that, and with time, there's learning by doing. That is the most effective. So you see, the fact that she has had to find to look for that email. Tomorrow she knows there is that spam. But for business owners and in a more technical setting, you need to be able to do the competency assessment based on those future trends. For example, us in PwC, we have just launched a new strategy called the New Equation that tries to address these trust issues we have, help clients achieve and respond to this disruption. So we're going to invest about $12 billion in the next few years on upskilling. And it's about digital and ESG and all that. And I'm telling you, we have so many trainings. Even I had to take training on data analysis, although I'm not a data analyst, because it's about you even being able to engage and know what's out there. So you have to, even as an individual, you need to, okay, what's the future of communication? They even say emails will disappear and it will be instant messaging. there's the anticipation that a lot of full-time roles would disappear, including our consulting profession. It will be a pool of freelancers. And, you know, I went to a school in Germany. They did a reunion, 10-year reunion for us, German government. I went to a school called the Hertie School of Governance in Berlin, and they invited us for our reunion and what they called a digital leadership workshop. And then I was in Deloitte. I remember our Africa HR talking about the future of communication. Emails will disappear to chats, you know, and then they were talking about that. Even us, the future might be you have projects and there are a pool of experts even shared. And in that field trip, we went to a place called Seed Lab. It's a consulting firm owned by one woman. She's the only full-time staff. And if you see how large the office it was and how busy, it's owned by one woman. And you know, she works with big German corporates like T-Mobile, Deutsche Bahn, that is like their train, this thing, and is a digital platform. So they have their digital platform where those experts are and this thing. So as an individual, you need to think, what skills do I need, including those digital skills? And EDX, YouTube, and all that. Anything I want to do, even there's a day I couldn't remove my gas top. And I went to YouTube. Anything I want to do, everything is out there on the internet. So people also have to put in an endeavor to map out those future skills they need to communicate with people, to survive, to all that. And even for your staff, you need to have a robust upskilling program. We have, for example, we're going to launch an ESG Academy. It's being imposed on everybody to learn about sustainability and climate change, because you need to be aware to even be a good consultant, you know. So we do have, and it's mandatory, they launch it out in bids and all that. And you have all this EDX, and there are a lot of learning materials out there. So there's a bit of personal effort. So sorry, Alibab, I wanted to touch on that, being okay with failure. You know, because I think we haven't spoken about that. One of my favorite quotes, and it's about The Man in the Arena by Theodore Roosevelt. I remember one of the consulting clients by his office, he's the CEO, he had the arena on his door. And I said, why do you have the arena? He had all names. I said, you don't know about that quote? And I said, no, I don't. And he had it engraved on a wood plank and he brought it out. And it's about not being timid. It's about being brave. Enter that arena. In the end, you know the defeat, and learn from them, or you would win. But you would never be among those timid souls. So he says you're never among those people that were timid, that neither know victory nor defeat. Failure is when you give up trying. So that's why when you fall, when you have your lows, you need that grit to get back up and retry. That's why I like reading biographies, and it's encouraged that people read biographies, because those success figures you see out there, you get to see the low moments they had. Even Elon Musk has been broke, you know, after even being successful. They've had to try, maybe when they had their last chance, they've had to deal with this financial sourcing for finance and all that. So it's good to read biography, so that when you are going through your own moment, you get encouraged to keep trying. Thank you. We can't hear you.
Sorry, this is technology. I'm getting used to it. All right. So there are questions in the Q&A, and I would like you to just tap on it. There are 11 questions there, and see which one is directed at your presentation. Toyi would speak first. So the first question that you see, Toyi, you can take that up. There are several questions there. And so there's one about the textile industry and importation. I think the textile industry and importation, what do you think? The people that are in that space? Okay. So,
okay, I'm trying. Okay, yes. I think you can hear me. Thank you very much. Looking at the textile industry, I grew up in when we grew up working with my mom. Then we had a lot of indigenous local textile industries. There was the Ayike. There were a couple of them, and my mother, we patronized these people. There's a textile mills, but you see, now everything has gone down. You see, we need the government. We found out that we have become our own government, we have become our own government. We've gone through a lot of challenges. The most important one that we have faced is the challenge of Forex. When we talk about the textile industry, government has to create the incentives for people to bring in machinery. You see, for SAS, we have our own long-term goals and strategies. Part of our long-term goals is to start producing everything in Nigeria. We partner with so many foreign companies. I remember some almost 8 or 10 years ago, I traveled to Austria and Switzerland, which is, where fabrics, the indigenous ones are being produced. And I told them we want to partner with you, we want you to come to Nigeria, because these people make millions, billions of dollars, from Nigeria. The Swiss people, they make a lot. And I said, we need you to come, let's come into a partnership, But when they talk about Nigeria, oh, your government, your this, well, one thing I know is that I've chosen to remain positive. We're working towards that. We're in the process of finishing our headquarters now. I know very soon we're going to open our own factories in Nigeria, because that's what even the government, we buy textiles from local manufacturers as well. We need to invest in their manufacturing processes. Everything has to improve, from power to the roads, everything. There's a lot of government needs to provide an enabling environment for investment and local production. Power and infrastructure is so key. That's why e-commerce must be so strong, But I know we're going to get there. It's part of our dream. It's part of our legacy. There's no way we're going to be sustainable when we keep on importing. The dollar is giving us a headache. It keeps on rising every day, cost of bringing in things, even though I know that luxury has improved in this season, but, that question says, how can we help? Because it's all left to the government. But of course, it has to be a government and a private sector and a joint partnership, and it's so important. So we're using this business as a tool for social transformation. So we just need all the government support ease of doing business. We know that our business, our society is a very social society, the parties and everything. So it's something that it keeps on trending, it keeps on growing. So we need the government to come and assist us with the lands, the factories. Definitely, we're going to go into local production. Definitely want to see the local factories being revived. We had a lot of foreign companies that were trying to produce it, but they all had to go back. So a lot of us do our production in foreign countries, but that is not sustainable. So we need the government to really, really help us as well in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rekia, did you see some of the questions that interest you there?
To be honest, I haven't looked at okay. So there's one that interests me by Sylvia. And it's the second question there. What opportunities identified with climate change risk for the country? Okay, I can't. Were opportunities identified with the climate change risk for the country? Nigeria has agroecological zones, and there could be opportunities for orphan crops that may prove solution to hunger. Okay, so I do know, with climate change risks for the country, generally there should be a vulnerability assessment that identifies the hotspots, the climate hotspots. Be it, it's flooding cases in Lagos or drought in the north, drying up of Lake Chad and all that. It does affect agriculture. I do know that, the ministry seems to be, they've done the vulnerability assessment. There's the work around, the nationally determined contributions that, helps to identify those risks and how to reduce it, which will, of course, in turn, help reduce our own, emissions through those nationally determined contributions. I know they're looking at decarbonizing, because you need to decarbonize energy, you need to decarbonize transport, you need to decarbonize buildings, right? So there are all those, and with agric, there are adaptation plans. In fact, when I was talking to my team on this recent movement in the ministry, the Minister of Environment has been moved to Ministry of Agric, and we're like, okay, maybe that may be good for agric, so that sustainable agric and adaptive agriculture would be taken seriously. In terms of those crops, that probably they are more resilient, will bring more yield and all that. Probably this is the best time that the country can take that forward, since they have someone that has a very good understanding of climate change challenges in the sector and that. So I don't know if that answers your question. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There's so many more questions there, but as it is, we probably would. Let me see. There's one that, let me now direct some to you. Okay. Okay, you talked about mental health. Rekia, you talked about mental health, and somebody here says, do we think Nigeria is ripe for introduction of American shrinks or therapies concept in mental health? Because here you decrease is just it's a way of life. Somebody is talking to you and say
so of course Nigeria should be, not even be ripe. In fact, we had our inaugural Nigeria Sustainability Outlook, which we published at the beginning of earlier part of the year. And, we prioritized mental health as one of the people pillar, because, I told you with sustainability, we look at it, people, planet, prosperity. We prioritize COVID-19 vaccine. So we actually predicted remote working will continue because of vaccine access and ability to achieve herd immunity. So the other thing we prioritize is mental health and brain capital. If you look at the world economy now, it's becoming more and more service-based, innovation-based. So that brain capital on a macro level is important. But, I saw an alarming statistic. 60 million Nigerians have mental health illnesses. 60 million. I had to probe my team a bit more, ask them to send me the sources, because It was just too alarming, and it ended up to be true. So that's like 1 in 2, 1 in 3 Nigerian has mental health. So of course, people need therapy. People don't understand they need therapy. You know, we like to feel strong. We like to this thing. Many people go through a lot where they have post traumatic, what is it, PSTD or PTSD? They have that disorder. They need to go through therapy. If you've gone through an abusive relation, you need to go through therapy. There are many people that are depressed. There are many people that suffer from anxiety. There are many people that have different sorts of mental illness. And I think there's more awareness for it because many companies are having employee-assisted programs. Even like us, there was even an email I saw where you could take the test to know, and there are lines to help you, support lines, you know, and all that. We just need to stop the stigmatization, and I think, you know, more and more, and now there are even online alternatives where you could get connected to a therapist. You know, you even get to choose your therapist. There's someone that went through divorce recently, and she had even all those things. You need to go through therapy. So it's not whether we're ready. We should. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There's a question in there, and which is why we actually should try and see how we can galvanize our potentials and begin to apply them to sectors that will matter. Now, the question is about somebody who read Greek economics, and the person is asking that she doesn't know where to start. I think she's female. She doesn't know where to start. Before Rekia will attend to that, let me just say that these days, if you're one of those people who read Greek economics, you have your foot already in the success pedal. Once you read Greek economics, you have your foot in the success pedal, because one thing is food doesn't expire. Food is always in demand. Then the economics of it is also a pointer to the fact that you've chosen a good field to go into. You can be an analyst, you can work with a lot of agencies, but that said, Pricewaterhouse, Madam is here, so she can attend to that.
Okay, so I'm trying to get the question right. So the person read Greek economics, but the person doesn't know where to start from, or so
yes, doesn't know where to start from.
I'm going to. Did the person want to read Greek? Okay, I'm a female. Okay. I came here for mentorship. I want to ask if there's advice because I don't know what to do next for my degree. So let me tell you, like us in PwC, we take from any field, whatever you study, it doesn't matter. And you might end up, you choose what you want to do. Many people don't end up, like I'm a chartered accountant, but I've done strategy for the most part of my life, and now I'm doing sustainability, you know? And I know all the big four. It doesn't matter what you study because, you know, diversity is multifaceted, and even your backgrounds, you know, creates this diversity because diversity creates innovative, you know, environment, the different thoughts, different perspective on what you study. But like Ali Baba said, this is a time for agric. Agric is we're in a very agrarian economy. It depends on what you want, but I don't know what your blue flame is. I don't know if you've heard of the word blue flame, where your passion meets your talent. And I'm telling you, that's when you get that you'll be able to have a sustainable career where you perform optimally. So you need to have a career plan. It's funny, I'm telling you, because when you do it, I know one of my bosses, he likes asking that, and I'm telling you, most people don't know what their career aspiration, their end state. So you need to get, what do you want to be, regardless of what you've studied, right? Start off with what's your aspiration. I've always aspired to be, the first female from the North that would be a partner in a Big Four. There hasn't been any. And I love problem solving. I love consulting. It's a blue flame for me. But I had that goal. And I was lucky to have mentors that supported me in developing a plan. And I'm telling you, that year or a year before is when I made partner. So I had all the things that I needed to do to get me there. You need to have your relationship maps. You need to know the skills you need to develop to take you there. You need to define your values, because like for me, it's not about it wasn't just about getting there. It was about how. So I had all my role models, mapped out, and that was the beginning so what did I like about them? And and all that. But you need to you have, but the opportunities I see for you, you can either start up your business, you can help as an agri-economist, probably you predict and all that. Donors, there are a lot of donors doing a whole lot in these sectors. Even us, we have an agric unit. I know KPMG has an agric unit. So you need to map your opportunities. There's someone I did my master's with, she's Nigerian American. After her service, she drew up a list of 40 companies she saw she could walk in. She was going door to door and she ended up getting a different job. And she met the person that helped her at the reception of one of the places she went to drop in her CV. So have a plan, be bold, and go for it. You never know. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. This one is going to go to Toyin. Toyin, how did you and your siblings, I think that question is from Toyin Lawson, Lande. How did you and your siblings manage the business? How did you manage the business with your siblings? Because sibling rivalry is a very strong thing. So, and then it also borders on teamwork and having a common purpose. So how did you manage that?
Okay, thank you very much. So let's talk about how did we manage our coming together. So initially we were just 2 siblings, and as at today we're 7 siblings that work together. I will look at it as the foundation. So what's a foundation? For me, family is very, very important. We all have each other's back. I don't take independent decisions anymore. We work together as a team. So I will tell a story. I remember when we first started, when we took over in 1995, we opened our first store in 1995. And it was just my sister and I working, and I called my sister my MD. And somebody came in and said, wow, don't you people ever fight? I said, no, ma, we don't. We respect each other. Our values are based on those values of love. I respect them because my mother had taught me. I tell people that my mother is my greatest mentor. She passed on at a very young age, but she had embedded those things. So we have a very strong family rallying point. We don't take independent decisions. We work together as a team and we respect each other's views. So people talk about sibling rivalries, and I think respect is reciprocal. Love is so important. And of course, because I have a very strong belief in God as well, I take things to the place of prayer, and God helps us. So we have reporting lines. Everybody has their job description. I tell people that it's a family business, but I get my alerts. I'm on a salary. So I'm always very happy when my chairman sends me my alerts. My chairman is my brother. My sister is my MD. So, we have all the reporting structures. Business is all about systems, structures, and processes. So we're going through a process of re-engineering. It wasn't like this at the beginning. For every time we've had to look at our systems, make sure that there's no loophole so that we can have a good succession plan, hand it over to our children, hand it over even to our management that have been with us for a very long time. So it's very important that that culture of respect and love. Don't be independent. Don't work in isolation. Be positive. Respect each other's views and carry each other along. It's so important. So that's how we've been able to work together as a team. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Toyin. And then this last one is going to Rekia. Rekia, you know, with the economic downturn and donor fatigue, a lot of CSR projects have been left in the dust. Then the other thing is that you have a case where people are now saying, okay, let's just wait till COVID is over. So most of those who are in that space of sustainability projects are hung where they are right now, and so nothing is happening. So this question is for Rekia: how can a startup organization incorporate sustainability from the start? Also, how can startups easily monitor their carbon footprint? So please attend to that. That was from Eunice.
Okay. So I'll start off with, we actually felt the opposite when we, probably maybe for MSMEs, but those large corporates, we saw COVID, we saw how private sector came together to mobilize. We saw a lot of corporates donating and trying to help, right? Probably maybe the more junior, the more smaller businesses had some of that. I think companies are still taking CSR seriously because, in fact, they've gone beyond CSR, because when you look at the evolution of sustainability, it started from that CSR to corporates building establishing their foundations, to even integrating it as a business. Because if you remember, I said sustainability is about shared value creation. So you're also thinking, what are those material impacts that I need to make on my stakeholder, my host community? You're thinking, how do I minimize environmental impact or manage and and all that. So we see them taking that more serious, because they've seen how stability in the external environment benefits them, right? So they've even now gone ahead to integrating ESG as part of them, right? So that they're also creating shared value they're also creating value for external stakeholders. That's what we've seen. So the other question is about how do you establish a sustainable business from the start? And the second one is, how do you track emissions? So I'll start with establishing a sustainable business. The most matured form of sustainability is integrated thinking, integrated acting, so it's about embedding it. So, you need to, as a company at the very start, think of ESG. It should be a decision criteria for you, just like how profitability and all that. That's why I prefer EESG, economic, environment, social, and governance. So what you should do is assess what is material to your business. So there are frameworks. Well, there are many frameworks on topics you should consider. So what you typically do is engage internal stakeholders. You come with a long list. You develop those frameworks have proposed economic topics, environmental topic, whether it's emissions, carbon emissions, water use, and all that, social too, and governance, So you engage because it's not about you, is about you and other stakeholders, and you engage your other stakeholders. We always do, when we're doing reports or strategy, we always do materiality workshop. We hold two, one for internal and one for external. They call it double materiality. So at the end, you come with those short lists. Then you need to look way, way into the future. That's why when we are preparing proposals for doing a sustainability strategy, we have a disruption team. We have in PwC, we have an experienced what do you call it? An experience center at Tech. So it's led by a director of disruption. So there's this disruption scenario they do. But you can also do it on your own. So you see KLM, when KLM did their strategy, they were questioning their purpose as an airline company, because when you look at the future of transport, it's about Hyperloop, it's about low emissions transport. So trains, for example, because we have lower. So they were saying, should they then instead be a mobility company, such that you go to Schiphol and your last mile is through that Hyperloop or those low carbon, because low carbon is, I can tell you, I get tagged. There are people that name shame, or they try to shame us, all this environmental climate activists. They claim that some of us, I see them even shaming Microsoft and all that, because me on Twitter, I have partner sustainability. So they always tag me with chairman, with any senior person they know, stop pointless flights. That we this thing. They claim that we even emit as a global firm higher than some small countries, and all that. And that brings us nicely into your second question, which is about tracking your carbon emission. It's very scientific. It's science-based. So you have to do a baseline assessment. There are, will I say, there are standards or like measures that scientists have already that can guide you. Normally there's a tool. So I'm the net zero West Africa leader for PwC. We've committed to be carbon neutral by 2030. And the starting point is you make the commitment, then you do your baseline. So you have to map out your activities, including your supply chain. So it's not about you only, your supply chain too, because it's through your dealings with them that the emissions is happening. So you have to map out your activities, like for us travel, if it's for manufacturing based, probably their diesel consumption, what they burn. So that is what would help you translate into how much carbon you are emitting. So on that basis, you now develop your carbon reduction strategies, right? And even them Google that they're saying they're carbon neutral, sometimes you can't reduce to operate. So you embark on a carbon offsetting program, but you already know the amount of carbon you are not reducing directly, so that you go and you buy the offsetting certificates, and those certificates, those programs, there's some carbon offsetting, planting trees or something happening somewhere, but in the end, it's reducing the carbon emissions to the globe generally, right? To the world, and that's how you do it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. The other one that I will go to, this one will be, I don't think any of them talked about, okay, no, I'll push this to Toyin. For a startup business, what strategy can be used for networking to help boost client base, specifically in the real estate sector? Now, the real estate sector is not the sector that Tony is in. She's in the textile industry, but because of applied strategies, I'm sure she could speak to this. So what can you do to boost networking for client base? How to boost client base with networking? That question is from Praise Chiwendu.
Okay, thank you so much. You know, I always tell people that all businesses are the same. Every business needs customers. Every business needs networking. Every business needs to know how to turn that one-time buyer into a lifelong customer. Every business needs to be able to leverage on technology to be able to, you know, right now there's so many tools you can use. So I look at banks, for instance, they have what you call the contact center. You know, it's about following up. So I meet somebody, I go for a networking event, you know, I once went for a course in SIBS, you know, and we took this course on networking. And, you know, it's about relationships. It's about how you go the extra mile. It's about how you add value. It's about how you say, okay, I'll give you an example. This is about adding value. It's about your core values, you know, your values define you. So somebody once called me. I was at a wedding reception. This was January this year. And, you know, it was still COVID, you know, so, but this was a wedding that had been postponed. And he said, oh, somebody would want to buy fabrics for a king. And I said, okay, thank you very much, you know. But he wanted it for a Sunday morning. This was a Saturday evening. And so what did we do? I called one of our branch heads, you know, and I said, I called the man immediately. This is what you want, and this is how we're going to go about it. I gave him advice, you know, on the type of fabrics you can buy for a king. Of course, the king wears only white, you know, and this was like an oba. And so, you know, now after we had given the fabrics, how did we present it? We went ahead by getting a gift box, a very good treasure box, and we delivered it that same night. Do you know from this that relationship, you know, someone I was meeting for the first time, and he opened up so many relationships. They decided to get the corporate package, the Oba's package, you know. So when you go the extra mile, when you follow up, we have a culture in our organization. For every transaction, we'll call you back the following day. Thank you so much for shopping with us. And that is why we've had our long-term customers. We enjoy feedback. So networking is all about going the extra mile. You know, I met somebody recently, and so she says, oh, when I was going to get married, your mother sold to me. Now our children are getting married. We're selling to them. You know, so that these are relationships. But it's because we've put that personal touch in it. We hold our customers in high esteem. So it's about the networking. It's about that extra mile. It's about how we add value. So whatever industry you're in, please go the extra mile. Customer service is so important, which are part of the core values we hold on to. So in any way you can network in any industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, this other, I think it might just be our last question, and it has to do with mental health that that Rekia talked about. But as an aside, there is an Oba, very colorful Oba in the Southwest that wears all kinds of colors. It's my friend, but I'm not going there.
I know who you are talking about.
I don't know who you are talking about. I'm just mentioning that there's an Oba that doesn't wear white, so he's actually
changing now. That's why we're adapting. We're adapting now.
Okay. All right. So this question is about emotional state of mind as well, because if your state of mind is not at top notch, there are certain ideas that will not fertilize there, no matter who pushes it to you. Your physical and mental state of mind is necessary to be productive in any organization. And so this person says, what are the activities that can relieve me of this emotional stress of my organizations that can't pay contract staff anyway? It's a question by Ehiogie McQueen. Ehiogie McQueen, and it's I think it's something that is down your corridor, Rekia.
Yes. So I think yours, you need to find a lasting solution. I mean, if your
not mine, no, not mine. The person that answered it.
Yes, because he's talking about emotional stress from. I think his question is about not receiving payment, right? With then the unemployment and all that, and how that's causing emotional stress, for you. So you need to start having your exit plan. I don't encourage people to resign without having another job, but you need to start having your exit plan. And like me, I have sisters that before they got jobs, they were, and right now one of them, she just even went for her interview. She just finally got something. She has a seafood business, and on Instagram, she doesn't even have a store. She told me how grew. I couldn't believe it, with coin and all that, and it's so famous in Abuja. Another one opened a natural hair salon. He encouraged me to go natural. So don't be scared of starting something. I know right now probably you may be at bottom because of this, but you need to have an exit plan. You need to try to solve that trigger. But in the interim, you just need to, emotional stress, those things I recommend. But yours, I think it's a problem beyond emotional stress. You need to find a lasting solution to that. So that's
all right then.
And unfortunately the question
okay, the question. No, as we were attending to it, it's in the dismissed questions, so you can still find it there. So you said
okay.
High unemployment, and I struggled day and night in school without support to graduate with a 2-1. After working a year, an organization said they can't pay contract staff anymore. They stopped us without prior notice. Right now, I feel the whole world has ended, no support, please. And mentioned something about sometimes I feel like taking drugs. I feel tired of struggling. I have been struggling.
Please don't believe in yourself and keep trying. Like I said, I love reading biographies. If I come to London, I love watching shows on biographies. I watch Tina Turner and all that. I'm telling you, some of them had it very rough, financially broke, and all that. You need to have grit. You need to try. You have a 2-1. Even us, we now, I think we've even removed age limits. So have a plan, have a list, try. Go listen, our own, there are many companies that are online, you can apply for jobs, and because you're a graduate, don't look down on something to get you by before you find a solution, right? So you need to be realistic. You need to have what is the immediate solution you can have right now that can keep you busy. And at least you can feed yourself and just meet your basic needs. And that way, gradually, you're having a plan, and you're moving towards it. But apply all those big 4. It's online with a 2-1. That's among the minimum listing. We have even removed age limits. You just need to prepare for it and listen. So have a plan towards that. Also consider probably, a business, that you could do with social media. You'll be shocked. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this is what I'm going to do now. It is that we've taken as many questions as possible. I will just give my panelists, starting with Toyin, a few minutes to round up her presentation.
Okay, so thank you very much. I know, adding to that last question, I think you should realize that tough times don't last, but tough people do. So you need to believe in yourself. Find out what you're passionate about and start small. Start small. There's a seed in our hands, and it's good to see those seeds become oak trees. So for me, my pattern was, how do we stay the course? It's time to reposition. It's time to restructure. It's time to work in your business, work on your business, know your business, stay on top of your game. Let's be intentional. Let's talk to our team. It's the new normal, but be innovative, be creative. It's time to do things in the new, and it's time to be patient as well. Have a growth mindset, have an increased self-esteem. I always tell entrepreneurs, I never say no to an order. As an entrepreneur, never say no to an order, never give up. I know how to network, I know how to call people, and I know how to go to Google. People come up with all sorts. There's always an answer. I believe in providing solutions and getting alternatives. It's time to think, to plan, to execute, rest as well, sleep well. Let's celebrate our victories. Give yourself a pat on your back, encourage yourself. Like I said earlier, it's no more work-life balance, but work-life harmony. Don't be obsessed by technology, but be obsessed by your customers. Deliver on your promise as well. Our values are integrity, meaning what you say and saying what you mean, and trust in God. It's so important. Let's go the extra mile. Let's all be intentional. And I believe that as we stay the course in this season, God will bless the works of our hands, and just being big. Succession, have a succession plan. Thank you so much, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ikia. It's important for all these points that have been noted by our panelists to be taken into consideration and applied properly. We need to get beyond the comparison of ourselves to people who have walked the road and walked the path. I know someone who said one time that he's leaving an organization because his boss has 2 jeeps and he's still jumping buses. And I said, when did your boss graduate? He said 1978. I said, when did you graduate? He said 2012. And said, so you graduated in 2012, but you want to live the life of your boss that graduated in 1978. So most times some people just want to jump the hurdles without going through the system. Thank you very much. Thank you. So this time, Rokia, you round up now.
Okay, I don't have, mine will be very quick. My advice is expect change, embrace it, be adventurous and have an open mind, because I'm telling you, surviving now requires that risk. I will say have the right risk appetite to try new things, because innovation is key. Be okay with failure. It's okay to fail, learn from it. I know someone that I think is extremely smart and he accomplishes a lot. And I said, he said, I don't think I'm smart. I just read a lot. And I think I'm a doer. I get it done. I know I might make mistakes, but I just learn from it. And I'm telling you, that person, whichever role you give it, he makes a lot of impact. Although he's a bit controversial, but that's his thing. Okay, so you just learn from it, but do it, get moving, right? Then have grit. Have self-esteem, believe in yourself, have foresight, plan, including scenario-based planning, and, even plan B, you need to have that plan B. I remember a question Alibaba pointed around, someone that lost his source of finance. Don't have a single source.
Yeah.
Your resource, your supply chain, every single thing is a risk. Key man risk, supply chain risk, finance risk, all that. That's why I mentioned that this thing. Then create shared value. Don't concentrate on creating value for yourself, and you will never be alone. And I mean, Toyin said it. She was overwhelmed, and when Toyin was saying her story about how people responded to help her, I said, she must have created shared value. If not, I'm telling you, she would have found herself alone at that moment in time. So those are my parting shots. Alibaba, why were you laughing?
Because I think I know the
It's not the personal.
All right, okay.
Okay. I just wanted to add something. There's something I always say that when you wake up, it's your morning. So it's time to wake up. It's time to make that move. It's time to do that business. I've done business all my life. I'm a chartered accountant as well, Rekia. So I've done business all my life. It's time to just wake up and make that move. It's so important. Be positive. Thank you so much, Alibaba. Go back
Thank
to
you
the
so
drawing
much.
board. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. When you wake up, it's your morning, unless you are jet lagged. All right. Okay. So thank you. We've gone through a lot of stuff here. We now know resilience is important, positive mindset, customer service is key, networking, understanding our environment is very important in these trying times. Always find solutions to everything. Find solution. Take care of your staff. Have goodwill. Like if you don't have goodwill, there's nobody that will come support you, because after NSAS attack your business, people will just be looking at you and like, hey, she's been making money, let her survive on her own. And so people will come to you. And then always have the feedback channel. Feedback channel is important for you to boost the things that you're doing. Build a brand, be strong brand, add value, and know your stakeholders. There's some people who do not know their stakeholders. They don't know their customers. They don't know the strength of their customers. You need it. And you need to have an organic growth. Don't expect to overnight become the most important person in a sector without going through the ropes. Thank you so much. Vulnerability assessment is the new one that I've learned now. Thank you, Rekia.
Thanks.
Yes. Your vulnerability assessment has to do with the risk factors that are in your business and how you are open to those and how you deal with them. It's important. There's been a lot that we can say, but unemployment is really high. And then on top of unemployment is the unemployability of some of us. Some people are not employable. No matter how much you want to impact on anyone. Somebody has a 2-1 and the person is looking for a job. How do you think you would fare if you do not even have a 2-1? It just means that there's a lot more that the world is. The other thing is that the age factor in business. The age factor in business is being eroded, but the thing is that the value proposition that you have will help you succeed. Thank you so much, Rekia El-Rufai, Tony Bakari, HQ. Thank you. Olubumi, is over to you. Thank you to round up, please.
Oh, wow. What a session. Thank you so much. So before I round off, I would like to call on HQ to please put up the advert video by our sponsor for today's event, First Bank Nigeria. So while the video is going on, please help us to fill the evaluation form for today's event. The link is already in the chat box, so please just scroll through and fill that. Over to you, HQ. Thank you.
Susie likes to live life on her own terms, and with her Visa prepaid card from First Bank, she has no worries shopping abroad or paying locally, as her card comes in USD or Naira variant, and she enjoys the liberty of funding her card as she desires. Susie got her Visa prepaid card from the First Bank branch nearest to her. It's valid for 3 years and can be personalized to suit her lifestyle. First Bank Visa prepaid card can be used on any payment channel, ATM, POS, and web. And if you're a corporate business organization, the card can be used as your budget card to sort out business expenses. In addition, the card can be co-branded to showcase your business. So, get a First Bank Visa prepaid card from any First Bank branch and enjoy a budget card that suits you. You first. First Bank.
Thank you, HQ. Thank you. Where's Olubumi? She's out of this space now. Olubumi. Before Olubumi comes back, there's a lot of phrases. I picked up a lot of phrases from this Rekia woman. Hey. When I start speaking now, people will think I went to Harvard. question your purpose, baseline assessments, committed to systemic excellence, standards of equalization. My head is full. Thank you. And I believe that all of us who have been in this space listen to you. Oh, okay, Bumi, you're back. Olabumi. Olubumi, sorry. She's back. She's frozen. She's frozen like Desiani's account. Hello?
It's frozen.
All right. So anyway, thank you. Is it now? People. I thought people were going to ask questions about relationship because that was where Rekia started from. Relationships matter in surviving in these trying times. Business relationships, personal relationships, and corporate relationships is important because the sustainability is. Bumi, are you back? She's still frozen. Is there no network in Ibadan?
Okay, Mama.
No, it's not me. See, Rekia is talking, it's clear. You are talking, it's clear. But every time these Ibadan people come on, it's looking like. Okay, so
I'm looking for the Ibadan people's trouble.
Sorry. All right. Thank you so much. I am very happy to have hosted this, and I've learned a lot. And I will continue to share these messages and everything that I've learned from you. Have a wonderful time, and God bless all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.